All right, should be up and running here. We still got about 2 minutes, a little over 2 minutes until the close here, but let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for April 27th, 2022. Qs down just a little bit, and SPY up just a little bit from yesterday's close. Now, yesterday we did have Google and Microsoft both reported. Google ended up gapping down. Microsoft ended up gapping up. Okay. And I guess ultimately they kind of netted each other out. As you can see, we are basically flat here on the Qs and SPY. Here they are. Here's the Google, ended up gapping down. Here's the Microsoft, right? So, in this situation, right, we just go back to the market, see what the chart looks like, right? What is the overall impact, okay? And so in this case, we still have a nice hourly downtrend on the Qs and SPY. Okay, we've been bearish coming into each day for the past week or so. All right, and haven't seen the hourly in this downtrend yet. Okay, now there have been times where it seemed a little bit late in the trend to still be looking for the market to go lower. I thought we would get a short-term bounce here. It ended up being even shorter term than I expected, right? And then I was saying if we gap down a lot coming into today, then we might get a little bit of a bounce. We didn't really gap. We ended up pretty flat here, so we still did bounce, but then now closing back down at the lows. What's useful about this move that we got is that we got the hourly sell set up. So over today's high, you can see we've got a little bit of that resistance there from the initial move this morning, but we got the nice retracement. Declining 20s caught up, right? So pivot is now over today's high. I think this pivot and the high of the day are a little bit the same, so I'll just go with high of the day. The resistance is an area anyway. Okay, so there'll be other names reporting as well. Facebook is definitely the one and the biggest one for this evening, but we'll see what happens tomorrow, and then we'll just be watching the market here. We know where the line in the sand is. I think for the SPY, it's actually the pivot is actually above that initial move. So to make it easy, to make it simple, high of the day for Qs and SPY. If we break over that, no longer bearish in the short term, otherwise staying bearish. Okay, and so pretty consistent here downtrend that we've got on the Qs and SPY. Now, I thought today was frustrating, but it wasn't frustrating for just kind of one reason alone. I thought it was frustrating in kind of different ways. The first thing that I had called here was the LICY. Had a nice momentum move at the open. Was looking to play a breakout here. If we break out over this, you can see the 20 MA starting to catch up. A lot of attention being paid to this for some reason in the morning. All right, if we zoom out here, all right, you can see something up with this, moving up a lot. You can see the daily ended up closing with all that volume. It didn't trigger. So that's fine. That's not uncommon, right? You're asking for a specific setup. You want it to set up this way and prove that it wants to go, break the resistance from that topping tail there to the left. That's fine. Didn't trigger. And then the next play, the DBD, which was doing the sell setup here, and I wanted to see it follow through underneath this base, ended up popping. I think I left this call open for hours just in case it did trigger because I liked it quite a bit. Very, very weak on the daily. No support in the way, at least immediate support. You have to go all the way back to 2019. There is some on the monthly, but this is super, super weak. Again, not getting going, not really triggering here. Okay, so, moving on. Then the Matt did play this 15-minute buy setup. Ended up being kind of a nothing play. on the mat. Was waiting for it to break the highs here. Really nice gap on this mat. I like this gap quite a bit. I thought we had room to the highs up there based on the quality of the gap. But ended up kind of hanging out and ended up being a break-even play there. So that was the mat. And then the ILPT I did play, gave you the numbers while I was on the mic, entered on the mic, got a little bit of follow through, but then reversed. So that didn't work. Now, I think one thing about the ILPT that was a bit aggressive was that it was down a lot already. But I thought, this is staying weaker than anything else. We had a little bit of a pause in the last couple days with like a bottoming tail and then an inside bar. That, maybe there's still people left who want to panic out of this. And that was kind of the idea. The momentum was there. There's really no immediate support in the way, right? So, very, very weak. Expect that to close weak, but couldn't get enough to get a target. Okay, and then the last play of the day was the EXTR, which was not able to get filled. So this, for some reason, well, I know why. It's on an uptick, and then it just dropped, and then I couldn't get filled on this EXTR. So, I thought it was kind of surprising how many gaps we had and how few good entries that we had, how many few good entries, triggered. But some days are just like that. I don't think it necessarily speaks to the bigger environment overall. I think it was just the way that today was. You can see on the Qs and SPY, at the way that it's going to close here is kind of a doji bar here with a big topping tail, a little bit of a bottoming tail there. So maybe a little bit more two-way action here on the day, maybe just created some of that lack of follow through. Really the last few days, it's really been all about the market, what the market's going to do. That's very critical to what does follow through. Okay, so the fact that today was a little bit more range bound maybe has something to do with it. But the good news is we still got a lot tonight and tomorrow that are reporting. So tomorrow's gaps list should be pretty big and should give us plenty of opportunities. So I'm looking forward to that. It's kind of, like I told the room as we were finishing up, just get lots of rest tonight, start early tomorrow, all right, because we're going to have a pretty big earnings list, pretty big gaps list. We are definitely now into the peak, into the bulk of earnings, okay? So, yeah, some days are going to be just, maybe for me, maybe it was just me. Maybe it was me. I was a little bit, not focused on the right ones necessarily, or, it just happened to be going after setups that weren't quite triggering. And there were some other things here and there that were better. So, could have just been me as well. But I think also from what I saw, it wasn't really a whole lot. So I think I'm pretty confident tomorrow we'll have more to work with. Okay. But I think the most important thing, takeaway for me is, okay, we know that over the high, today's high on the Qs and SPYs are lined in the sand for staying bearish. Okay, anything below that, we will remain bearish. Anything above that, we will shift to neutral. And then if the hourly starts to uptrend, start to look for more bullish opportunities or move up in the Qs and SPY. Okay, but we'll deal with that when that happens. All right. Hope you have a good rest of the evening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.